Welcome to the lesson for today. So, first thing I'm going to say before I start the lesson is that this lesson goes along with the note page that is on the classwork tab. So if you haven't looked at that note page yet, I recommend that you get that one, whether you print it out or save it on your phone or save it on your computer or something where you can reference that. Okay, so I will be using that kind of like as a guide for the lesson. I'm going to be going step by step with what that has on there. So it will be a lot easier for you to follow the steps because I'm not going to write out each step individually because it's already written on the page. So it's going to be a lot easier for you to follow the steps if you have the note page in front of you. Okay, so what we're doing, we originally, this like whole last week before we went out, we looked at equations of circles in standard form. So the way that we've been looking, the way that we've been writing our equation for circles have been in standard form, which is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Where h and k gave us the center of the circle, we said the center was h comma k, and the radius was r. So we had to take the square root of whatever this number was to get the radius. And we looked at the opposite sign, so if it was a minus, we got positive h. If it was a minus, we got positive k. If it was a plus, we got a negative number. So this was what we used entirety of last week. Now we're going to be looking at a form called general form. Okay. General form is, I'll use blue, is x squared plus y squared plus ax, where a is just some number, it could be whatever number, plus by, so again b is just some number, plus c, and c is also just a number, equals 0. So in other words, we have no parentheses, everything is multiplied out, and we have nothing on the other side of the equal sign. We have it equal to 0. So a, b, and c are what's called constants, which means they're just numbers. So, and it could be like 3x plus 4y plus 18. I don't know. It could be anything. So this is general form of a circle. We have standard form, which is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. And we have general form, x squared plus y squared plus capital AX plus capital BY plus C equals 0, where A, B, and C are just some constants. So we're going to be looking at how to get from general form back to standard form. We want it in standard form because when it's in standard form, we can find the center of the circle and we can find the radius, and we get a pretty good idea of what the circle looks like. When it's in general form, when it's this big mess here, we can't really say that much about the circle in this form. So we want it in standard form. This is the way that we want it. So how do we get from here to here is what we're going to be talking about. Alright, so this is where in the notes it goes step by step. I'm going to walk through step by step, but the notes are written out. So again, if you don't have the note page, you may not follow exactly what I'm saying. But if you have the note page, it'll be a lot easier to follow. Alright, so I'm going to go straight into an example. Okay, this example is on the second page of the note page, so if you have the note page and you want to follow along step by step with the example, I'm going to show you everything being moved around. So the example I'm going to do is x squared plus y squared minus 12x minus 18y plus 81 equals 0. Okay, so going back to general form, this negative 12 is A, negative 18 is the B, and 81 is C. So that's what I mean when they're constants, they're just some numbers. Okay, now following the notes, step 1 says rearrange the equation to put the x's together and the y together. So we want anything that has an x. We have two things that have an x, two things that have a y, and one has nothing. We're going to put the x's together and the y's together. So I'm taking x's, so step 1. Okay, I'm taking my x's, so I'm rearranging the equation. I'm just moving everything around so that my x's are next to each other. I have x squared minus 12x. Okay, x squared and minus 12x, those go together. I'm going to purposefully leave a space in between, okay? I'm kind of skipping ahead in the steps, but you'll see why in a second. Okay? And also I want to save space so we can get through everything. So x squared minus 12x, I'm going to go ahead and write plus, and I'm going to put a blank. Okay? Then plus y squared minus 18y. I want my y's together. So I have my x's together, I have my y's together. And again, I'm going to put a blank, and you'll see why in a second. Okay, and then I have plus 81 equals 0. Alright, so that's step 1, is to get the x's together like I did here, and to get the y's together like I did here. So I have x squared minus 12x, y squared minus 18x. Okay, step 2 says move c, which is going to be the number that has no x or no y, in this case 81, move c to the other side of the equal sign, the other side of the equation. So I'm going to take this plus 81. To get rid of the plus 81, I have to do the opposite. So I'm going to subtract 81 from both sides. So if I subtract 81 here, these are going to cancel out. The 81 and the minus 81 cancel out. Okay. And then here, 0 minus 81 is negative 81. So really I have equals negative 81. Okay, so to get here, all I did was subtract the 81 from both sides of the equal sign. So this is, and I'll go ahead and rewrite what I did up here. Minus 81, minus 81. That's what I did. That's step 2, is how I got to negative 81 on this side. Okay, step 3, which I kind of did a little bit ahead of time, but you'll see why. It's really important. Step 3 is probably the most important step of them all. Okay, it says add a space for a number to be added to the x's and the y's. So that means I added one space here to be added to the x's, x squared minus 12x. I added a space to be added to the x's, and I added a space to be added to the y's. Y squared minus 18y plus blank. Now if I'm going to be adding something here and adding something here, in order for this equation to be true, what you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. So because I added on 2 things to the left, I have to add 2 things to the right. So I'm going to do plus blank plus blank. Okay, so this right here, these blanks are step 3. Okay, so this step, adding a blank to the x's, a blank to the y's, and then adding the same blanks to the other side, to the negative 81. That's step 3. What you do to one side, you got to do to the other side. Okay, step 4 is when we need to make a new line. Okay, step 4 is where we're going to start seeing how this equation is going to end up looking like standard form when we had x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. This is the step where we start to get to the way that looks. So what we're going to have x something squared. We're going to have something in here, either plus or minus some number, plus y plus or minus some number squared, and that's going to be equal to r squared, right? So this is the standard form. Now what number goes into these blanks? That's what it says in the notes. It says write an equation of a circle in standard form, which is what we're doing. This is standard form, by dividing a, which was negative 12, and b, which was negative 18, by 2. So we're going to divide this by 2, and we're going to divide this by 2, and those are the numbers that go inside of here. So Negative 12 divided by 2 is negative 6. So I'm going to have x minus 6. Then negative 18 divided by 2 is negative 9. So I'm going to have y minus 9 inside here. Okay, so step 4 is to take your a, in this case negative 12, and your b, which is negative 18, and divide them by 2 and put them inside of the parentheses. So I have x minus 6 squared plus y minus 9 squared. So this is what we're trying to get to, standard form. Now, we're going to get to what number goes on the other side in just a second. But in order to get this number, we have to look at what would happen when we do like x minus 6 squared. Okay? So that's where step 5 comes in. Step 5, okay, is to take the number that you just got, the 6, ignore the negative if there is a negative, and we're going to square that number. So we can kind of think of this section right here, 6 squared, and this section right here, 9 squared. You take this piece, 6 squared and 9 squared, and guess what? This is what goes into these blanks. So 6 squared is 36. So 36 is what goes into the blank up here. So this is step 5. Okay, step 5, you square this number, and that goes into that blank. Square this number, 9 squared is 81, so that goes into, oops, I should say 5. Let me fix that real quick. That should say step 5. So 81 goes in there. Now, what I do to one side, I added 36, I added 81. I have to do to both sides. So in these blanks here, I'm adding 36 and adding 81. So whatever numbers you put in these blanks here, 36 and 81, those go into these blanks over here as well. 36 and 81. Now, I know that this piece right here, x squared minus 12x plus 36, this piece is equal to x minus 6 squared. Okay, I can show you that in a second, but that's this and this line right here, x squared minus 12x plus 36, is the same as x minus 6 squared. That's why I need to fill in that blank so that these two can be equal to each other. Same thing with this piece. Y squared minus 18y plus 81 is equal to y minus 9 squared. These two things are the same. So now I need to basically take this section here, the negative 81 plus 36 plus 81, and that's what number is going to come down over here. So when I simplify this section right here, so negative 81 and a positive 81, those are going to end up canceling each other out, and I'm just going to be left with 36. So this is my equation for standard form. Okay, so this piece of simplifying this piece over here, that's step 6. So this is step 6. This is how I got this 36 here. On the notes it says, take the right side of the equal sign, that's this piece right here, and fill in the blank from step 4. That was this blank right here. So we took this piece and we filled it in over here by simplifying it. And now we have standard form. Now we can say what the center of the circle is. Okay, the center is h comma k. Well, we have a negative 6, so it's going to be a positive 6. We have a minus 9, so it's going to be a positive 9. And the radius is going to be the square root of this number here, which is 36. So the square root of 36 is equal to 6. So now we have a good idea of what this circle looks like. For this last part of the video, okay, I'm just going to show you why this piece, x minus 6 squared, is equal to this whole thing, and why this piece is equal to that thing. So I'm just going to show that kind of off to the side here. I'm going to use the area model to show this. So if I have x minus 6 times, okay, I'm going to draw a 2x2 box. Let's go x minus 6 times x minus 6. Okay, x times x is x squared. X times negative 6 is negative 6x. Negative 6 times x is negative 6x. and negative 6 times negative 6 is a positive 36. So I'm not sure if you can see that. Let me zoom it in because it's a little small. Okay. So here I have a negative 6 and a negative 6. Those will combine to give me x squared minus 12x plus 36. Which, I'm not sure if you can see that, but if you look, that is the same thing that we had over here. X squared minus 12x plus 36. X squared minus 12x plus 36. And I can do the same thing for the other side as well. I'll use green this time. We had y minus 9 and y minus 9. Okay, y times y is y squared. Y times negative 9 is negative 9y. Y times negative 9 is negative 9y. Negative 9 times negative 9 is 81. The two negative y's combine, we get y squared minus 18y plus 81. Which is what we had right here. Y squared minus 18y plus 81. It's the same thing. So that's how we're filling in these blanks to make that these two pieces are equal, and we end up in standard form from general form. Alright, go into the classwork section and find the assignment that goes along with this. This exact example is number 1 on the worksheet. And then you've got 8 more problems to do after that, or 9 more problems to do after that. So get those 9, take a picture of it and upload it. And if you have any questions, send me an email, shoot me a message on Remind, or leave a comment on Google Classroom, and I will get back to you as soon as I can.